Why are there people who never seem interested in joining viral TikTok challenges, or who absolutely refuse to wear whatever trendy outfit everyone else is obsessed with? It turns out that behind this anti-mainstream attitude, there's a surprisingly deep psychological side, one that often makes us go, "Oh, that actually makes sense." Many of them aren't trying to stand out, they're simply choosing to live more intentionally. In this video, we're going to break down what's really going on with people who always seem different, the ones who don't follow the crowd, don't feel the need to chase trends, and are often labeled as anti-mainstream. Make sure you watch until the end, because the facts we're about to discuss might completely change the way you see them. We'll look at the psychology behind it, why they behave this way, the pros and cons, and whether this mindset is actually healthy or potentially harmful. The anti-mainstream phenomenon has become even more noticeable in the digital era. Just look around. There's always at least one or two people like this. When everyone's hyping the latest K-drama, they're happily watching a documentary instead. Or when some new, trendy coffee goes viral everywhere, they still stick to their regular black coffee with no sugar. It might seem trivial, but in today's fast-paced social media culture, behavior like this stands out even more. This phenomenon actually isn't new. There have always been people who prefer not to go with the flow. But ever since TikTok, Instagram, and other social media platforms exploded, the gap between those who follow trends and those who don't has become much more visible. Social media algorithms constantly push viral content at us: challenges, fashion, food, lifestyle, everything. Because of that, people who don't hop on trends often end up looking like aliens in the middle of a digital crowd. What's interesting is that the number of people who consciously choose not to follow trends is actually increasing. They've started to realize that not everything that goes viral is relevant or beneficial for them. This choice also lines up with bigger movements like mindful living and digital wellness, which are becoming more popular in modern society. So the question is, why don't they go with the flow? Before we jump to conclusions, there's something important to clarify. People who don't follow trends aren't necessarily arrogant, trying to feel superior, or desperate to look different. In psychology, there's a term called nonconformity, a state where someone chooses not to adapt to the norms or habits of the group around them. Interestingly, this behavior is often linked to a high level of psychological independence. They usually have what's known as self-determination theory. This theory explains that humans have an intrinsic motivation to direct their own lives and make decisions based on personal values, without relying too much on social pressure or external validation. Imagine this: when everyone is obsessing over pricey Korean skincare products, they stick to the routine that already works for their skin. Or when TikTok is flooded with the latest dance challenge, they'd rather spend time on hobbies they genuinely enjoy: reading, writing, learning something new, or simply enjoying their own company. It's not because they think they're better than everyone else. It's because they've found comfort in their own way of living. What's surprising is that various psychological studies show that people who don't follow trends tend to have a higher level of authenticity. Authenticity here means they're more honest with themselves. They don't do things out of fear of being excluded or just to look cool in front of others. In self-determination theory, humans have three basic psychological needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Anti-mainstream individuals are usually very strong in the autonomy aspect. They feel in control of their own lives and make decisions based on personal values, not because of social pressure or the urge to fit in. In today's distraction-heavy social media age, this kind of authenticity is incredibly valuable. They're not easily swept away by viral content that doesn't align with their personal values. Instead of chasing the latest trends, they choose to focus on personal growth that truly matters. What's even more interesting is that this authenticity has a big impact on mental health. Because they live in alignment with their thoughts, feelings, and actions, they're less likely to experience cognitive dissonance, the inner conflict between what you show on the outside and what you actually feel inside. Their lives tend to be calmer, without the kind of exhausting internal drama many people deal with. But on the other hand, there's a major trap we also need to watch out for: conformity syndrome. People who constantly follow trends without understanding why can end up stuck in this condition. Conformity syndrome is when someone adapts so much to social pressure that they eventually lose their sense of self. They become terrified of being rejected, looking weird, or not being accepted if they appear different. The dangers are pretty serious. A person can lose their ability to think critically, ignore their own desires, and live solely to meet other people's expectations. Over time, this can lead to chronic stress and even mental health issues like depression. For example, some people are willing to go into debt or buy expensive items they don't actually need, just so they won't look outdated. Others force themselves into hobbies they don't enjoy simply because everyone around them is doing the same thing. Eventually, they can lose their true identity and turn into extreme people pleasers, constantly trying to make others happy while neglecting their own needs. In the end, what shows up is burnout, emotional exhaustion, and a sense of emptiness, even if from the outside their life looks successful and cool. If we look more closely, people who tend to be anti-mainstream usually have some distinct psychological traits. These patterns don't appear out of nowhere. They come from the way they see the world and make decisions. One of the most noticeable traits is a strong desire for exploration. They love discovering new things before those things become popular. The process of trying, searching, and learning something new gives them a sense of satisfaction. For them, finding a song before it goes viral, reading a book before everyone is talking about it, or diving into a hobby before it becomes trendy feels more meaningful because it comes from curiosity, not social pressure. Another trait is a relatively strong sense of confidence. This doesn't mean they never doubt themselves, but they don't base their self-worth on external validation. They don't rely on likes, comments, or social approval to feel good about themselves. As long as their choices align with their personal values, that's enough for them. On top of that, people who don't follow trends tend to have better focus. Because they're not constantly chasing fast-changing trends, their attention span is usually longer. They can immerse themselves deeply in an activity, an interest, or a goal without feeling like they need to keep up with every new thing. In a world full of distractions, this ability to focus becomes a rare advantage. Socially, the relationships they build tend to be deeper and more meaningful. They're not interested in having lots of surface-level connections. Instead, they prefer a small circle of people who are on the same wavelength. Their relationships are built on shared values, interests, and meaningful conversations, not just hanging out to look cool. As a result, their connections tend to be more genuine, stable, and long-lasting. Another strong trait is critical thinking. Anti-mainstream people almost always ask why before doing something. Why did this trend appear? Why are so many people following it? And most importantly, does it actually matter to them personally? They'll question whether joining a certain challenge has any real benefit, whether it aligns with their values, or whether it's just following the crowd. This mindset helps them make decisions that are more thoughtful, intentional, and measured. Beyond critical thinking, they also tend to have good emotional intelligence. They're aware of their own emotions and better able to understand what they're feeling. When many people get swept up in collective excitement or mass panic, these individuals can usually stay calm and evaluate the situation more objectively. It doesn't mean they're always right or always rational, but they don't get easily carried away by group emotions that often happen unconsciously. However, despite all these strengths, the anti-mainstream mindset also has a downside. Just like blind conformity, being too anti-mainstream can become a problem. When someone rigidly rejects anything popular without evaluating it first, they can fall into a fixed way of thinking. In psychology, there's a term for this: contrarian bias, a tendency to automatically reject something simply because it's popular or widely liked. Contrarian bias is just as unhealthy as blindly following trends. Both are extreme, both are irrational. People stuck in this mindset can miss out on great opportunities just out of pride or fear of being seen as following the crowd. For example, rejecting a genuinely valuable learning opportunity just because it's trending, or shutting themselves off from a positive community simply because that community happens to be popular. If this mindset continues long-term, it can reduce a person's psychological flexibility. They may struggle to adapt, become defensive toward anything new, and feel the need to always go against the mainstream. Yet, flexibility is one of the key components of mental health and the ability to thrive in an ever-changing environment. That's why balance is everything. Modern psychology emphasizes the importance of autonomous motivation, a state where someone chooses whether to follow a trend or not based on personal values. Not because they fear rejection, and not because they're trying to look different. Both blind conformity and extreme anti-mainstream behavior can be harmful. The healthiest place to be is right in the middle. We have the freedom to try a trend if it's relevant, useful, or simply fun. And on the other hand, we also have the right to opt out if it doesn't fit our needs or personal values without guilt and without feeling like we have to prove anything to anyone. After diving deep into the psychology of people who don't follow trends, we arrive at the most important question. How do we find a healthy balance between trying trends and staying true to ourselves? Because in the end, life isn't about always going with the flow or always fighting against it. It's about how aware we are when making choices. The first step is to practice self-awareness. Whenever you feel the urge to join whatever's trending, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this decision really coming from me or just from outside pressure? Am I genuinely interested, or am I afraid of missing out, afraid of looking different, or afraid of not being accepted? Simple questions like these help us understand the real motivation behind our decisions. The second step is to practice mindful consumption, especially in how we use social media. We live in an era where trends, information, and opinions come at us non-stop. If we consume everything without filters, our minds will eventually feel overwhelmed. Mindful consumption doesn't mean unfollowing every viral account or shutting yourself off from the world. It just means being selective about the content you take in. Choose content that brings value, insight, or peace, not just quick-hit hype. The third step is to build clear personal values. When you know what truly matters in your life, it becomes much easier to evaluate any trend. Does this trend align with your values? Does it support your goals? Or does it pull you away from the direction you want to go? These personal values act like a compass, helping you stay on the right path in the middle of constantly changing trends. The fourth step is not being afraid to experiment. Being self-aware doesn't mean being rigid. Sometimes trying something that's currently viral can actually be fun and even open up new perspectives. As long as we do it out of curiosity or genuine interest, not because of FOMO or social pressure, it's still healthy. This is where you can clearly see the difference between a conscious choice and a forced one. The fifth step, and often the hardest, is the ability to say no. Not every trend needs to be followed, and not every invitation needs to be accepted. Saying no doesn't make you antisocial or trying to be different. It's a form of respecting your own boundaries. People who are psychologically healthy know when to try new things and when to stop in order to maintain their balance. To wrap things up, we can conclude that people who don't follow trends actually have some fascinating psychological patterns. They tend to have strong personal independence, high authenticity, and resilience against social pressure. But on the other hand, an anti-mainstream mindset can also become harmful if practiced rigidly or taken to an extreme. Whether we blindly follow trends or reject every trend without careful thought, both extremes can pull us away from our true selves. What matters most isn't whether we follow a trend or not, it's how conscious we are when making each decision. Does this choice make us calmer, more whole, and more honest with ourselves? Life is too precious to spend chasing other people's approval, or, on the flip side, stubbornly rejecting everything just to be different. So be yourself, with awareness, flexibility, and responsibility for every choice you make. Now, it's your turn. Are you the type who enjoys following trends, or do you prefer living at your own pace? Share your experience in the comments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and share it with someone who might be feeling tired of chasing trends. Thanks for watching until the end, and see you in the next video.